Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with my unboxing of the Azorious Senate Guild Kit from Ravnica Allegiance. So, this is going to be the blue-white, as I decided to. There will be a method to the madness. Having method to one's madness is always a good thing. But we start off with the Gruul kit, so red-green. Then yesterday was Cynic, green-blue. So today, Azorious, blue-white. Alright. So, we've got our Azorious sticker. We've got the deck box. And part of it still thinks this is kind of cheap. Say, hey, we include a deck box. Well, it's really a deck box you have to put together yourself. We've got our insert, which includes a. Okay, it's got, instead of it having an expanded version of the new artwork for Asperia Supreme Judge, it's instead got one of the characters, one of the legendary, or maybe one of the guild mages. It's yeah. Okay. Oh boy. We also have the Azorious Senate Standards of Behavior. For all Azorious representatives, obey all applicable laws, codes, and regulations. If you are unsure of what those might be in a given situation, learn them. There's a footnote. And do not proceed until you have established the correct course of action. Footnote 1. Here, learn is defined as the methodical, efficient process of both sourcing and assimilating new information in an intentional and comprehensive manner, regardless of any perceived limitation in the availability, legibility, or significance of said information. It is in fact much better to ask for permission than forgiveness. To be Azorious is to serve as an exemplary model of moral conduct for your fellow citizens. Avoid delinquent behaviors such as appropriating the property of others, performing illicit spellcraft, even for good reason, gallivanting about with unleashed pets, traveling through restricted areas without a writ of passage, or committing violence outside approved instances of self-defense. Again, another footnote here. List is not comprehensive. New Azorious members should consult processes and procedures, implements, and accoutrements of volumes 1 through 7 for a full catalog of relevant behavioral regulations. Always keep your uniform pressed and your armor polished in accordance with Regulation 654.2, Part 87, Section 28. Unkempt appearance erodes your authority. Should you witness a criminal act, signal the Sky Hussars immediately and begin documenting occurrences and the details of the crime scene. If possible, preserve any important evidence yourself and do not leave this task to the Boros patrollers. And once again, another footnote. And this is actually the end of the... yeah. The footnote 3. Our allies in the Boros Legion are valorous soldiers and valuable defenders of the law, who do an admirable job of maintaining the order on which our society depends. However, their methods tend toward aggression and are not well suited to the proper collection, registration, and transportation of delicate evidentiary materials. So, yeah, that last one's kind of... fuck the Boros. I think you dislike the Azorious already. Huh. Anyway, so, what else we got here? We, of course, got our... got our signet pin. And we got the the spin down life counter with the Senate emblem in place of the 20. And so the deck. First off, we'll look at the foil. We've got Asperia Supreme Judge. with new artwork from Return to Ravnica. Asperia Supreme Judge costs 2 colorless, 2 white, 2 blue, and is a 6/4 legendary Sphinx with flying. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. Okay, alright. Alrighty. Next up, we've got Pride of the Clouds. Pride of the Clouds costs 1 white, 1 blue for a 1/1 elemental cat with flying, and they were first printed in Dissension. So Pride of the Clouds gets +1/+1 for each other creature with flying on the battlefield. They have Forecast, which was the Dissension ability for the Azorious. Forecast: 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. Reveal Pride of the Clouds from your hand. Create a 1/1 white and blue bird creature token with flying. Okay. Next up, we have the Sphinx of Foresight from Ravnica Allegiance. Sphinx of Foresight comes in at 2 colorless and 2 blue for a 4/4 Sphinx with flying. It may be revealed from your opening hand, and if you do, scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Alright. Oh, okay, that's who it is. It is Lavinia the 10th. Okay. So, here, speaking of... So, yeah, that's Lavinia the 10th from the insert. Lavinia the 10th comes in at 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue for a 4/4 legendary human soldier with protection from red. When she enters the battlefield, detain each non-land permanent your opponent controls with a converted mana cost 4 or less. Now, detain was the ability that the Azorious had in Return to Ravnica, that block. And the way it works is that until your next turn, those permanents can't attack or block, and their activated abilities can't be activated. It's yeah. It can really put the lockdown on an opponent's deck. Next up, we've got Wind Reaver. Which comes from Dissension. Okay. It's 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue for a 1/3 elemental with flying. For 1 white, it gains vigilance at the end of turn, or you can also for 1 white, it gets +0/+1 till end of turn. For 1 blue, switches power and toughness until end of turn. And for one blue as well, you may return it to its owner's hand. Okay. Next up, we have Asperia the Inscrutable, an earlier version of Asperia. The younger Inscrutable version of Asperia costs 1 colorless, 2 white, and 2 blue for a 3/6 legendary Sphinx with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, choose a card name. That player reveals their hand. If a card with a chosen name is revealed this way, search your library for a creature card with flying, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay. Next up, we've got, from Return to Ravnica, Archon of the Triumvirate. Which is a 5 colorless, comes at 5 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue for a 4/5 Archon with flying. Whenever Archon of the Triumvirate attacks, detain up to 2 target non-land permanents your opponents control. Okay. Then from Ravnica Allegiance, we've got Unbreakable Formation, which is an instant which comes costs 2 colorless and 1 white to play. Creatures you control get indestructible until end of turn. Addendum, the Allegiance ability. If you cast this spell during your main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures, and they gain Vigilance until end of turn. Okay, alright. Next up, we've got, from Return to Ravnica, Attention Sphere. I don't know why, I thought this was, didn't think this was rare. It's an enchantment, costs 1 colorless and 1 white and 1 blue to cast. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-land permanent not named Attention Sphere and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. When it leaves the battlefield, return the exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. Okay. Next up, we've got Render Silent, which is an instant from Dragon's Maze. Costs 1 white and 2 blue. Counter target spell. Its controller can't cast spells this turn. Oof, that can be mean. But you gotta hit it, of course, you gotta hit it right off the bat. But yeah, anyway. Next up, we've got Dovescape. Which costs 3 colorless and then 3 mana, either white or blue. Dovescape was initially in Dissension. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, counter that spell. That player creates X 1/1 white and blue bird creature tokens with flying, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. Woo. That could be mean. Next up, we've got the instant Sphinx's Revelation, which was initially in Return to Ravnica. Cost X colorless, 1 white, 2 blue. You gain X life and draw X cards. Very useful. Excuse me. Then from Allegiance, we've got Warrant and Warden. So, Warden costs 2 mana, either white or blue. Put target attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library. Warden costs 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. Create a 4/4 white and blue Sphinx creature token with flying and vigilance. Okay. There's our tokens. Get to those in a second. Next up, we've got Judge's Familiar. For initially Return to Ravnica, they cost 1 mana, either white or blue. They're a 1/1 bird with flying. Sacrifice it. Counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1 colorless. Okay. We got an Azorious Guild Mage from Dissension. Costs 2 mana, either white or blue, for a 2/2 Valakhan Wizard. For 2 colorless and 1 white, you can tap target creature. Or for 2 colorless and 1 blue, you can counter target activated ability. Mana abilities can't be, and it states mana abilities can't be targeted. Next up, we've got Azorious Herald. From Dissension. Okay. It's a 2 colorless, 1 white, 2/1 spirit. Can't be blocked. Enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. And when it also, however, when it enters the battlefield, you have to sacrifice it unless blue mana was also spent to cast it. So, yeah, you have to use blue. At least 1 blue to cover the colorless mana. Next up, we've got Stoic Ephemera from Dissension. Okay. Stoic Ephemera costs 2 colorless, 1 white for a 5/5 spirit with defender and flying. When they block, you sacrifice it at the end of combat. Next up, from Dissension is Court Hussar. Court Hussar comes in at 2 colorless and 1 blue for a 1/3 Vedalken Knight with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice unless you spent white mana in casting it. So it's kind of our the Herald and the Hussar kind of mirror one another. That's kind of neat. Next up, we've got Hover Barrier. Hover Barrier costs 2 colorless, 1 blue for a 0/6 illusion wall. It has flying and defender. It was initially in Return to Ravnica. Okay. Next up is the Lie of Sky Knight from Return to Ravnica. Lie of Sky Knight costs 1 colorless, 1 white, and 1 blue for a 3/1 human knight with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you detain a target non-land creature an opponent controls. Okay, alright. I actually kind of dig the detain mechanic. Next up, we've got from Allegiance, Spirit of the Spires. Spirit of the Spires costs 3 colorless and 1 white for a 2/4 spirit with flying. Other creatures you control with flying get +0/+1. Okay. Alright. Always nice to, to pump your buddies. Excuse me. Next up we got Azorious Justicar, which is from Return to Ravnica. The Justicar costs 2 colorless and 2 white for a 2/2 human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, detain up to 2 target creatures your opponents control. Ooh, that could be mean. Next up, we have the Skymark Rock, which was from Return to Ravnica. Costs 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue for a 3/3 bird with flying. When it attacks, you may return target creature defending player controls with toughness 2 or less to its owner's hand. I actually dig the flavor text on here. Try not to look guilty or delicious. Next up, from Allegiance, we've got Sphinx of New Prov. Costs 2 white, 2 blue. It's a 4/3 Sphinx with flying and vigilance. Spells your opponents cast. The target Sphinx of New Prov costs 2 colorless more to cast. Excuse me. Damn. Next up, from Allegiance, we have the Windstorm Drake. Comes in at 4 colorless and 1 blue for a 3/3 Drake with flying. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0. Okay, alright. There was one that, oh yes, okay, so it's the mirror of the Spirit of the Spires. Alright, that's neat. Next up is the Sky Hussar from Dissension. It costs 3 colorless, 1 white, and 1 blue for a 4/3 human knight with flying. When it enters the battlefield, untap all creatures you control. Okay. This is from Dissension, yeah. It's got forecast. Tap 2 untapped white and or blue creatures you control. Reveal the Sky Hussar from your hand to draw a card. And it can only be activated during your upkeep and only once each turn. I think that mainly just refers to the forecast as a whole. Alrighty, so now we've got alright, we'll skip it. Yeah, we'll skip forward to the comment to the rest. Next is Sky Tether from Allegiance. Costs 1. It's an enchantment. Costs 1 white. also an aura. Enchant creature. The enchanted creature has defender and loses flying. Ooh. Next up, from Ravnica, City of Guilds. Or no, from Dissension. That's right, Dissension is the Azorious Signet. Like the other signets, costs 2 colorless to cast, and for 1 colorless and tapping it, you can add 1 white and 1 blue to your mana pool, and there's 2 of those in the deck. We've got the instant Summary Judgment. It costs 1 colorless and 1 white. It's from Allegiance. Deals 3 damage to target untapped creature. And has addendum. If you cast it during your main phase, it deals 5 damage instead. Then from Return to Ravnica, we have the Azorious Charm. It's an instant coming in at 1 white and 1 blue. You choose one. Creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. Draw a card, or put target attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library. Okay, that's very handy all around. Next up, from Return to Ravnica, is the Dramatic Rescue. It's an instant for 1 white and 1 blue. Turn target creature to its owner's hand. You gain 2 life. Okay. Next up, from Return to Ravnica, is the Azorious Key Rune. Similar to the Azorious Signet, Return to Ravnica had Key Runes, which were artifacts that cost 3 colorless mana. Can be tapped for 1 mana of either of the 2 colors of the guild. Then for 1, then they would have an effect that cost 1 of each color. In the case of the Azorious Key Rune, for 1 white and 1 blue, it becomes a 2/2 white and blue bird artifact creature with flying until end of turn. Okay. Next up, got the instant Sphinx's Insight. It's from from Allegiance, duh. Costs 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. Draw 2 cards. If you cast it during your main, it has addendum, and if you cast it during my main phase, I gain 2 life. I think that's as well. I would presume it's as well. Then finally, from Allegiance, another dual card is Depose and Deploy. Both are instants. Depose for 1 colorless, 1 either white or blue mana. Tap target creature. Draw a card. Deploy for 2 colorless, 1 white and 1 blue. Create 2 1/1 colorless stop your artifact creature tokens with flying. Then you gain 1 life for each creature you control. Okay, that actually fits in rather nicely with the story, with the fact that Dovin has emigrated from, has come to Ravnica from Kaladesh. So next up, we've got the Azorious Chancery. It's a non-basic land. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. And it can be tapped for 1 white and 1 blue. Useful, but unless you've got a means of playing more than 1 land per turn, yeah, it doesn't do much for your mana pool. Next up was the Azorious Guildgate. We've got both versions from Allegiance. They enter the battlefield tapped and can be tapped for either 1 blue or 1 white. Then we have there's plane, the exclusive version of the planes for the deck. And the deck's exclusive island art. Alrighty, and that is it for the Azorious Guildgate. Tomorrow we'll have, the tokens. We've got 5 1/1 blue and white bird tokens. We've got 4/4 Sphinx token. Strange. And there's also a 1/1 Doppler token, or Doppler tokens. So yeah, anyway, that's it for today for the Azorious deck. Tomorrow we'll be doing the Orzhov Chancery. That ought to be fun. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you feel the need. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon on the description box down below. Also, hit the notification bell to be notified when I put up new content. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.